You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button.
I mean, it's going to be in the mid to high 30s. So I think within a calendar year, we could be close to turning over 70 scholarships.
Incredible. That was Brian Kelly on Saturday, kind of giving a little primer for signing day. Shea Dixon, On3, the Bengal Tiger, joins us now here for everything we need to know before the early signing period opens up on Wednesday. Shea, thanks as always, man. How are you?
Yes, all the things that Brian Kelly's not allowed to talk about publicly until tomorrow. I can do it.
I love it. Okay, so currently 25 commits for LSU and then the one transfer in Aaron Anderson. How many commits is LSU expecting to sign on Wednesday?
Well, here's the thing. Isaac Smith is a big target for them. Out of Mississippi, out of Itawamba, a safety. He's down to LSU and State, really. That'll be on Wednesday. Kamorian Pimpton is committed to Vanderbilt as a tight end, but LSU's in the mix. Texas is in the mix. There could be a chance that they pull off a late flip there. And then he's on Wednesday. And then Desmond Ricks, the 5-star cornerback, is on Thursday. So the signing day window runs Wednesday to Friday. Those are the three announcements we're kind of really watching in terms of guys they're still after. And then you want to make sure you get everybody to the finish line, Matt. They mentioned they have 25 commits. The one guy who has said he's not going to sign tomorrow is Dalen Austin out of California, a corner. Now there's buzz that he might sign tomorrow, but actually it might be Oregon. If you actually peel back all the layers here, he's taken a ton of visits. He's been to Oregon a bunch, visits to a number of different schools, and he's from California, and that's tough to hold on to. So that's been brewing as one everybody was watching to see, hey, look, maybe he signs with LSU, maybe he doesn't, maybe he waits till February, but everything looks good with the other 24 commits, which is what you want. Nobody wants to go into signing day, Matt, hinging the hopes of their class on a bunch of kids announcing for them. So the bulk of the work is done, and they can kind of just focus on a handful of guys. So maybe they come away with, 25 or 6 when the dust settles on everything, which is about what everybody expected.
So 25 commitments. Let's assume Austin does not sign. That would be 24. And then maybe if you land one or two of the ones you mentioned there with Smith and then a potential tight end flip. Let me ask you a follow-up on Dalen Austin. What is so we've heard a little bit of those rumblings. What's going on there? Why he might defect from this class?
Well, it's not for lack of playing time. I mean,
right.
He's pretty good, so it's not that. I just think, look at the track record. California kids have not often gone to LSU, and the staff did a good job of getting him committed out of a big school at Long Beach. But USC and UCLA, all those schools were going to be after him. His brother plays at Oregon State. One of his former coaches is on staff at Oregon. He's got some buddies that go to Oregon and play football there. So I think there's the reality that he's looking at a school like Oregon, and they have become a real potential threat to flip him because they're closer to home. He's more familiar with a lot of people in the program. He's got a coach that used to be at Long Beach Poly on that staff at Oregon. So I think just you can kind of combine a number of those things, and you can understand why distance would probably play in. And look, he may well sign with LSU. He's a great player. They need corners, but it's fair to go into signing day with expectations set in, rooted in reality. And the reality is that if he does sign on Wednesday, it looks like Oregon's making a move. And here's the other thing, Matt. There's 2 signing days. Mm-hmm. He's been committed since the summer, but he's been saying, I'm not going to sign until February. Well, why not? If you're committed, then you would sign and be done with it. Right. So clearly in his mind, he has still been going through options for the past few months despite being committed. So we'll see what happens.
Shea, if Austin does not sign, where does that leave LSU with cornerback numbers for what they would like in this class?
Well, look, they only have 2 on scholarship, right? Who are we down to now?
It's
Terrence Welsh and Seven Banks.
That's it, man.
Okay, so you got to have more than that just to even field a team. So they've added. Look, they had Dalen Austin committed and have him committed currently. Jeremiah Hughes out of Gorman, a massive school, Philander kid out of Bishop Gorman in Vegas, who get him to stick, is another. They've got a number of defensive backs who I would say are versatile enough to play either spot, like Ashton Stamps out of Rummels played corner and safety. Toviano played safety, but is being recruited at corner. So you can see that they're trying to get some versatility in there to be able to fill those needs. But look, Thursday night, Desmond Ricks, 5-star corner announces, and that's the one you want to go ahead and finish with a bang and kind of begin, as Brian Kelly said, to start to rebuild and develop that room through high school signings. And look, they'll go into the portal and grab a guy or maybe two, and you have to. This is a multi-year rebuild. We get that. But Desmond Ricks would go a long way towards getting back to, hey, let's sign the best high school recruits and develop them.
Do they still feel, Shea, good at that Desmond Ricks is going to end up a Tiger? Like, would it on Thursday when that decision comes? If it's not Desmond Ricks, rate your level of surprise.
If Desmond Ricks does not go to LSU, my
Right.
level of surprise,
Yeah.
like an 8 or a 9.
Okay.
A high level of surprise. I expect them to get Desmond Ricks. I think they've done everything they've needed to do. I think he's had very real interest. It was always going to come down to kind of what happened between, he had 3 final official visits. It was Florida, it was Bama, it was LSU. And going head-to-head with Bama, we know it's tough. And they're about to clean up again and probably finish with the number 1 class. But I think LSU's going to win this one. I think they're going to beat Bama heads up as well as an in-state school in Florida and get Ricks. I feel good about it. And look, that's a big step towards, as I said, rebuilding a room that's in dire need of help right now, and in terms of both depth and guys who can play next year.
Shea, are there any other portal targets that could end up I think it's worth clarifying. You can only sign 1 letter of intent in your career. So it's not necessarily that someone would sign a transfer would sign tomorrow, but you know what I mean, would announce a transfer or whatever and roll. Are any portal targets likely to pop tomorrow or in this early signing period?
Yes. The answer is yes. And look at you knowing the rules. So the portal guys all sign grant needs. It's not like you redo the whole scholarship, initial thing like you would with a national letter of intent. So I do think they'll have news tomorrow. And
okay,
look, Jalen Lee, a kid out of Live Oak, who a number of years back was committed to LSU.
Right. Remember.
He and the prior staff sort of parted ways. We don't have to revisit all that. Well, he has been at Florida now for a few years, and he's a DT, and he hit the portal, and Brian Kelly's made it clear they'd like to, we saw it with Aaron Anderson, go after guys that are Louisiana natives that they feel can help them. I think that Jalen Lee can help them. Beyond, if we're presuming Jaquel Roy goes pro, their defensive tackle situation is basically, Mason Smith coming off injury, though he's fully expected to be healthy.
Makai
Wingo is an all-arrogant type, and Jacobian Guillory. And the only other 2 DTs on the roster would be Ty G. Hill and Bryce Langston, 2 younger guys that we've never really seen play. So you can't do what they did this year, which was, hey, Jaquel and Makai, I don't even have to look up the PFF grade stats here. I think they played 99% of every snap that LSU took. So you can't do that again and just hope nobody gets hurt, that they'll be fine. You can kind of rotate one guy in there like they did with Guillory. I think you want to be able to build on more than that. So they've got those 3, Mason, Makai, and Guillory, that can kind of be your top guys, but you're going to go into the portal and try to find as many 2, 3, I've heard, defensive tackles, interior guys that they can play. And I think a guy like Jalen Lee would fit that. I'll also add the portal kids, as you noted, because of they don't actually sign a letter of intent, they don't have to do anything between Wednesday and Friday. That's largely and only for high school kids. So portal guys can do, announce a commitment and sign grant aid whenever they feel like it. It's really just a matter of if they're trying to get in for the spring semester, or, guys like Noah Kane and Jay Bramplett announced that they were going to LSU and sign the grant aid, but then stayed at their school to get a degree and finish up the semester or whatever it might be. So that portal guys hinge a lot more on kind of what their plans are for when they want to enroll and academics and getting everything in order.
Do Just a couple more. Shea Dixon's with us on 3 The Bengal Tiger, which, by the way, they got a 1-year deal for $1. You get a year for $1. What a time. And as Billy Embody told us, you get a cool hat as well. And on 3 The Bengal Tiger.
It's well made, too, so that's worth more than $1 right there. I can't promise hanging out with me for a year is worth more than $1, but the hat's well made, and that's free.
And Billy told us they're all stacked at his house right now, so please sign up to get the hat out of his house. All right, how much of the heavy lifting do we expect to be done now? And then, Shea, when we look at that spring portal window, might LSU still be looking to add players then if they don't now?
Yes, and they will add more players in this window and then in that window. And let me also clarify this. The portal windows are only for you to put your name in. That's not when you can be recruited. So you just have to have your name in within the 45 days. Then you can continue to be recruited, in January and February and March and all that. I think the 15-day window after spring, Matt, allows LSU and everybody, obviously, to then get another look at, okay, who hit the portal after spring ball? Whether that's guys who are looking for more playing time or, whatever it might be. That's another window when guys will say, okay, I'm going into the portal now. And for LSU, it's going to give them an opportunity to get through spring ball, and there will certainly be guys who say, I'm not repping where maybe I thought I would. It probably is in my best interest to use this 15-day window to explore my options. So I do think they'll be active now beyond signing day, and in January, I think we're going to hear a lot of portal talk. You led off with Brian Kelly's comments about wanting to be or maybe needing to be in the mid to high 30s of combined portal and high school signees. Well, if they're at 25 right now, and Anderson from Bama committed to LSU's 26, you can do the math. You still probably have 10 plus more guys to go. That's not going to be all high school guys. So, and a large number of portal entries or additions, I should say, will happen in January.
Hey, last thing before you go, a non-LSU question. Right. I'm curious about A&M because I read earlier today, after having the number one class a year ago, they're poised to finish somewhere in the low teens or 20, around 20. That would be the biggest drop for a number one ranked class since Florida in 2010 had the number one class and then finished, in the 20 range or whatever. I'm just curious if you have any big sweeping takeaways, because clearly it's an NIL thing. I mean, we all know what happened a year ago, and regardless of what Jimbo or anybody says, let's not be stupid. We all understand. Do you have any reaction or sort of industry takeaways to that type of news, or how you're seeing this landscape adjust with all the new rules?
I mean, I think it became clear that if you're going to do an all-out NIL approach to putting together a class, that you better have a really stable locker room and foundation and know what you're getting in everybody. I think more so, too, I look at this as A&M might be realizing now what I think LSU, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, a number of other very big schools who, got some money, not A&M money, but are in the, have to be in the NIL game to recruit these big name guys, is that it's in more of your interest for NIL to really help you with guys on the team, not getting them to join the team, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, the opportunities you will have over the course of your college career by playing at LSU or Bama or Georgia or Ohio State will put you both on an NFL track. You'll be developed by coaches. They have a history of winning, and these schools get more. Everybody's watching them. LSU got a massive social media presence. They're on all the biggest networks. You will have ample opportunity to make the most of your name, image, likeness. So using it not so much as a front end recruiting tool, but something that pays off for you across the time you're in college. And I think that's the approach that most schools, and the ones I mentioned, have taken. I think A&M took the exact opposite approach last year and said, let's just go all in. Let's do it when we can get them. And Saban called them out for doing just that. And what do you know, a year later, they're up there leading the country in guys who hit the portal, and their class does not look anything like it did a year ago, when I think that they've backed off to a degree on saying, let's just go NIL, money whip everybody, and instead say, hey, look, how can we get back our foundation and our culture and rebuild the locker room and keep our team together and and all of those things. So NIL can be a slippery slope, Matt, and I think A&M found that out.
Great insight as always on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Make sure you're reading up there at On3 the Bengal Tiger. Again, the 1-year subscription offer for just $1. Great time to do it over at On3. Thank you, Shea. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.